Here comes something that can only be described as capable. This is the continuation of what Boyu left behind, the P6, and who Meebook, finally taking the reins, made the M6. Unlike the P78 and the P10 by the same manufacturer, no, this one is not an e-note and has no note-taking capabilities. This is a device that can be defined in many ways. It's a 6-inch reader. It's a compact Android tablet. It's a genuinely usable and all-around good device, especially because it comes equipped with a 1 terabyte expandable SD card slot and out-of-the-box Google Play. In fact, thinking about it now, there's not many devices that hit every one of those metrics at the same time. Most devices lack at least one of those things. There is one drawback that I can see right out of the gates. This has no onboard audio, which does hinder its abilities to do many things like videos, audios, and even TTS. But with that one fault out of the way, let's see how this performs in the real world, starting with the UI. Although Meebook is taking the reins now from Boyu, they have utilized the Likebook OS that Boyu had created, so you get this very simplistic UI, it's gridded, and it's very nice. Honestly, it's really usable. You get the amount of grids, and you can change that as well in the settings. So if you want a 2x2 as small as that, if you want something a little bit more technical, they leave it up to you. You just press the little thing, you can do application management, etc. You will see that we do have Google Play there. That's huge. If this didn't have Google Play, this would get far more lost in the shuffle of the hyper competitiveness of the industry right now, because without Google Play, this is forgettable. You would not look twice at this. It doesn't offer anything completely amazing right now. But 6-inch Google Plays are only offered by one other manufacturer, and that is Onyx. So it is their saving grace, and not only that, it's out of the box, which we'll show you in 1 second. First, we'll go up to the top. You have an image 256 selector, we'll show you that in a little bit, and an A2 mode. They have shot themselves in the foot just a little bit, bang, because they only have A2 mode, and what that means is it's either on or it's off. There's no speed, there's no balance, there's no kind of soft, there's no video mode, there's no regal, so really it's a light switch. It's either fast or not fast, and we'll show you that when we get into videos as well. Now, they do have Bluetooth because there's no audio on this. I would have liked to see just a tiny little speaker on this. That would have changed the entire character of this unit, and it would have allowed for TTS and a bunch of other things. Now for Google Play, because this is really what you want to see. This is what I want to see. I want to see Google Play on these devices. It just works. You don't need to do backdoor entries, workarounds, or any weird kind of individual updates that allows it to work. You simply turn it on, sign in, and away you go. You can see it is a very slow experience, and that's where that A2 mode comes into play. You press A2 mode, it says it turns on, and now it's a little bit quicker. Granted, this isn't a speed powerhouse. It's more of an ebook reader than anything else because it's not very fluid. It's okay, but it's not going to win any awards, and we'll show you that when we get into some videos. But it does have a good version of Android. It does have an SD card. It does have the ability to use the glow light and everything like that. So it's got a lot of hardware on board that Google Play won't really say no to a lot of your downloads. Most things will work. Now that we got you here, sorry guys, I'm going off script just for a second. You know what's never really that good on any of these readers? The built-in App Store or the built-in bookstore, and that's not exclusive to Meebook. The Onyx store is terrible, the Bigme store is terrible, the Hisense store is terrible. They're all bad. Look, you get into the App Store, and the first thing it says is, look at all my study apps, and there's none there. And then you go over to news, and there's a couple, some of which you can't even, I don't even know what some of these are. And then you get finally into Reader, and you're like, okay, I know some of those, but guess what, everybody? You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go to Google Play, because that makes the most sense. For the most part, everyone, we never recommend, outside of the big three, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Kobo, that have the best ecosystems, we never really recommend dealing with them, because you can just deal with the individual application, like the Kindle, and turn your Meebook into a Kindle. Speaking of which, we're going to get into it right now. Now that we have the Amazon app on this 6-inch reader, this is a Kindle. This is effectively turned into a Kindle Basic on steroids, because I have much faster internals, I have more processing power, I have Android, I have all that fun stuff. So this is the way you should do it basically. You should If you like Barnes & Noble, download the Barnes & Noble app. If you like Kobo, download the Kobo app. If you want more third-party like Moon Plus Reader, Aldeco, download those. But for the most part, the stock things are always just a little bit more limiting. Whereas on Amazon, for example, I have all my content in here. And we're not advocating for Amazon. It's just a better app than the traditional app that's built in. I have note, search, share, copy, report content error. I can do my long presses. I can do my highlights. I can tap in the middle and bring up all my information and how to change my fonts, change my experience, and even turn on the glow light through the application itself, having nothing to do with the UI elements. Although I just noticed if you turn that up, you actually can't turn it all the way off through there. You have to go to the glow light over here, maybe trigger into day, and then turn back off, in which case didn't actually do it. So that's a little bit of a software glitch that we just live figured out right now. But that aside, you can read to your heart's content on this unit. It's very handheld. You can just hold it in your hand like this. 6 inches are very small. You can see I can't even fit my hand on frame. That's how small this thing is. And traditionally, they're much tinier than some smartphones nowadays. So 6 inches is kind of a dying breed, and in fact some manufacturers have 15, 16 devices in their lineup and don't even have 6-inch devices anymore. It's been so small of a priority for 6 inches that a lot of manufacturers don't even make them. A lot of you are split on why we show PDFs. Half of you say don't show PDFs all the time, but half of you say we need to show PDFs, and I'll tell you why. There are entire lines of manufacturers, multi-billion-dollar companies like Sony and Fujitsu that make devices that only read PDF. That's the only format they read. So it is very integral to e-paper devices to read both EPUB books, Mobi, to a lesser extent AZW and other formats, but also PDFs. But that being said, everyone, don't buy this for PDFs if it has to do with your bread and butter. And what we mean by that is if you're walking into your clinic and say, oh, hey, Dr. Nakamura, who do we got today? Oh, we got this guy, and he has this, that, and the other thing. Okay, I can't read that. What is it? Oh, it's the patient's chart, but I can't see if it's 200 or 2000 cc. You can make some very big mistakes if you're trying to read very small font for your job, for education. If you're studying for a test, I can't read any of that. Granted, you do have pinch and zoom, and it is quite good, but what I mean is that it's scaled in such a way where it's just so small that PDFs only really start making sense around the 10.3 inch area, because anything smaller than that, it just gets so condensed you can't even really read or see what's going on. The experience is fine, and you do have pinch and zoom, although there's no mini maps. You don't really know where you are on the page every time you're going to have to zoom out, but it can read the formats. And this is the Amazon app, but if you don't like it, you can download basically any PDF engine you want. You can download Adobe Acrobat APK file via Google Play and put it on this, and it works perfectly fine. If you look at Meebook's promotional information, social media platforms, they have a lot of emphasis and priority on manga. And if you look at a lot of them, they'll show you that these Vietnamese collaborative companies and these ones from Thailand highly suggest and recommend Meebooks for manga. So why is that? Well, it has to do with the fact of a few things. You can download any ecosystem you want, number one, so we downloaded Amazon. They're traditionally smaller and compact, 7.8 inches and 6 inches respectively, like that, and they have A2 mode to speed things up. So in that regard, sure, it works pretty well. But the thing is that if you are a fair weather fan of ebook readers, you'll say, wow, this is great. But that's like just getting into any new economy car or a fresh pair of shoes. You're like, that's great, but have you really taken a full glance at the industry? Not to say there's anything wrong with this, but they aren't doing anything specific to cater to the manga experience that anyone else isn't doing. So basically, this is going to be the same experience as a Bigme, as a High Read, as an Onyx, as really anyone in the industry, because all they really have is the A2 mode to speed things up. So there you go. I would have liked to see maybe a fast page turn engine, kind of like a faux Amazon Kindle manga model engine that would allow you to scrub through the book, maybe a tiled contents list, something that made it uniquely a Meebook thing to want to read manga on this unit. It is good, but again, it's not doing anything groundbreaking that makes you say, oh man, I need the Meebook for this specific intended purpose. But it does read manga extremely well, and in the A2 mode off, which is a little bit slower, it does look fabulous. know what? I gotta say, I'm actually quite surprised at the quality of the video. The thing is, you've trapped yourself by only having one speed mode. But the speed mode they do have is exhibited and executed perfectly. Look at that refresh. This is so smooth. That's Hisense level of refresh. Not Hisense's maximum speed, but it is good. I really wish they had some sort of toggle or maybe 7-step selector of the different speed modes you had access to, but I must say, pleasantly surprised that the one that they do give you is this good. Something that manufacturers have been doing recently is Image 256 or Grayscale 256, and Mike wrote a huge piece on it. You can read on the blog. It is pretty cool. Manufacturers are always finding new ways to change their devices, and this is a standout feature on this specifically because it's not built into the system. It's actually user selectable, and we don't know why. So they say it is a no compromise solution to scaling and smoothing this over. So for example, if you see this, it is a grayscale and it is a gradient that goes from light to dark, and it looks like there's these little staircase slats, and that doesn't look very good. So if you actually turn on the image scaling 256, you'll see that it smooths it over. Enable 256 grayscale, and now everything's much smoother. But they say that you should keep it on, but we have to beg the question, why do you even allow us to turn it off? But either way, iReader, Meebook, companies like that, they've been employing this. Some have been employing it throughout the entire software, but on the Meebook specifically, it is user selectable. We still do the glow light section because we need to show you the comfort lights of the Kobos and the warm lights of everyone else, but glow lights have maxed out, and what we mean by that is that they no longer technically use a front light. They illuminate a gel layer that is set on top of the screen, so the illumination has no control of its own to just be perfect. Now, how you access this is different, so you have to drop the top down, and it's actually not in the drop down at all. It's the individual light button there, and you might see it's very blue, but that's because they have warm lighting as well. So the warm lighting is great. The blue light is not that great, but the warm lighting is good. It gives you a very nice white experience. It's very balanced. It's not too illuminating. I mean, it doesn't light up the room. You can see, you can't really see the review table. On the Kobo devices, they're so extreme. They look good, but man, they're bright. This one's not very bright. I much like it. You're not going to wake up your partner or disturb people around you if you're reading this in the dark. It's a very good glow light. I don't really like those presets because it takes up a lot of the top bar, and they may not even be what I want them. I don't necessarily want complete full-blown candlelight orange as my choice for night, but you can't change them. You can change anything you want by customize, but you have to go to customize. So I really wish they didn't take half of my experience to give me some arbitrary setups of things that I can't really get rid of. Cheap and cheerful and extremely capable basically sums up the M6. We understand the industry is hyper-competitive. Not only that, it's getting saturated. There are countless new players in the current landscape, so it's easy for something like this to get lost in the shuffle. In fact, one of the last things most manufacturers even want to make in the year 2023 is a 6-inch e-reader, as the priority in the current meta has been placed on larger screens and more bells and whistles than anything else. For GoodyReader.com, this is Peter.